Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Women Warriors, where we are learning to stay connected to Christ. I am your host, Dominique, and this is my lovely co host, Monique.
Hey
And so,
y'all.
welcome back to our second segment of Pink Sundays. Of course, we're going to do a little recap. If you are new to Pink Sundays, it is us choosing the whole month of October to honor survivors and people who are maybe not so lucky to survive. And so
hmm
this year, we're doing an impact series. So, how the impact series works is it is not so much the breast cancer survivor as much as it is the people that are a part of their support system.
hmm
Again, we will say this week that a lot of the support system tends to get overshadowed, overlooked, left out.
hmm
I know that myself being a survivor, I always make it a thing to every year that I survive another cancer free year. I always
hmm
make it a point to let my family know how much I appreciate them being there for me and being my support
hmm
system during that time. So during this month, we are going to be shining light on those people who are a part of a support system or maybe have been um, a person who survived. They're the only person left to tell the story of someone
Yeah.
who didn't survive. And
Right.
so I'm really excited to bring on Raquel next week. She does not have such a blissful story when it pertains to breast cancer, but she does have a powerful testimony, being someone that watched her mother experience that. But we're going to get into that next week. But for
Yes.
this week, I am so excited to have my little sister, Alexis Powell, on Women Warriors today. She has been my rock, not only
hmm
my rock, but she also had a friend that we're going to allow her to tell you a little bit more about who survived breast cancer as well. And
hmm
so we're going to read our scripture first. And we're going to do what you know, Mo, so we don't forget
hmm
this week. And then we are going to jump right into just do a little Q&A with Alexis. And so the scripture that I chose for today was one of my favorite scriptures that helped me get through breast cancer myself, all the surgeries and things that I had to experience. And I remember that I had this little plaque that I had bought in from Hobby Lobby years
uh-huh.
before I had breast cancer. And it read Joshua 1:9. And I really never paid attention to. I loved it when I seen it, but I
hmm
never really started paying attention to the scripture until I had cancer. And I remember one night I was just laying in the bed and I was crying and I was just telling God, like, I didn't want to go through this anymore. And he drew
hmm
my attention to that little plaque that I bought at
uh-huh.
Hobby Lobby years before. And it was Joshua 1:9. So that has been my favorite scripture for strength and courage
Uh-huh.
up until this point. So we're going to go ahead and read Joshua 1, verses 9. And it says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And that's pretty
That's good.
self-explanatory.
hmm
It just was an encouragement to me to be strong and to be courageous regardless of the situation that I was in at that time. And so I use that now a lot, just in times of test and trial. I do use that scripture a lot. It's one of those that's etched in my brain.
Yeah.
But the Lord commands us to be strong and courageous. So in everything we do, Pink Sundays, even moving forward with just women warriors in general, you guys that are watching, be strong and courageous. Do
Yeah.
not fear. Do not be afraid. The Lord our God is with us wherever we go. So, without
Whatever.
further ado, we are going to go ahead and bring on Alexis. She's backstage. So, we're going to go ahead and bring her
Real
on.
quick, something
Oh,
that I
I'm
had for
sorry.
what you know mode.
What
That's
you know,
okay.
Mo? I'm so
it
sorry.
it
I'm so
it really
excited.
it relates well. I was like, let me slide in real quick,
I know,
but it
I know. I love
relates.
that for you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, but it relates completely to that scripture that you just read about being strong and courageous. And it's
Mhm.
this quote that I heard from a pastor, and it says, "Fear and faith both demand you to believe in something unseen." I'm gonna say that again. Fear and faith both demand you to believe in
That's
something
good.
unseen. And basically, it's saying like God gives us free will. We get a choice. He gives
Mhm.
us the option. But I know when I choose faith over fear, I feel better, I do better, I
Yes.
look better spiritually, mentally, physically. So all in all, choose faith over fear because they
Yeah.
both demand you to see something unseen. So why not choose faith? And that's what I know, Mo.
Hey, I like that. That was good. That was really, really good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and bring on Alexis.
She's so excited to be here with us today.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, I love this for us. I'm so excited.
Sister,
Yes.
sister.
So, everyone, this is our little sister Alexis. Again,
Mhm,
she was definitely a part of my support system, and also had a friend who survived breast cancer as well. So,
mhm.
welcome, Alexis. If you could, you can just open
Welcome.
up with telling us
Yeah.
a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, hi. My name's Alexis. I'm the baby sister
Hmm.
and born and raised in Kentucky. Spent a few years in China and exploring around Asia. And now I'm back in
Hmm.
America as a kindergarten teacher, which is my first passion and only passion for now. And I'm just happy and excited to be here with you two.
We love this for you. We're so happy to have
Yes.
you. So happy. So we're just gonna go ahead, because we do only have an hour. We're just gonna go ahead and jump right into our questions. And so,
Hmm.
Alexis, could you please tell us, what do you think the most impactful thing was that you learned watching your sister and one of your good friends fight breast cancer?
Oh, yeah. Special shout out to Tamiko Rice.
Hey,
She's
shout out to Mika Rice.
celebrating her
Yes.
this
Congratulations, girl.
October as well. But I think
Hmm.
strength and resilience are the two things that kept coming to my mind when I thought about your fight with breast cancer. Because I know some days you felt defeated, and I even felt defeated. And like
Hmm.
Mo said, faith over fear. Sometimes I let my fear be stronger than my
Yeah.
faith just because there's so much unknown. And I was abroad when this was happening. So it was even
Hmm.
harder for me to like just try to call in the middle of the night and hope someone answers. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a bit traumatic, but
Yeah.
nothing compared to what you went through. But emotionally, it was pretty tough for me as well. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
strength and resilience through you helped me to be more strong and resilient as well.
And I will
Absolutely. And I
say
think,
that Lex is one of the more empathetic sisters we have. So I
uh-huh,
know
Oh,
that it
yeah.
was
for
hard for,
sure.
like, probably just as hard,
I
for
got my
her
Yeah.
tissue
to,
already ready just in case.
Yeah.
just with her not being here and having
Yeah.
to, be a long distance support system. So I
Hmm.
definitely do understand,
Mm,
having
Yeah.
to assume that kind of pain, for your sister and your friend.
Hmm.
That is definitely understandable.
Yeah, I think her and I relate in that way because as I was talking about it last week,
Mhm.
being so far away and not being able to just get up and come to your house or,
Yeah.
but hers was obviously, a different experience because she would have to get on a 14-hour flight to get over here and check on you and stuff. But yeah, I can understand that the trauma that comes with being so far away from your family when
Mhm.
something like that happens.
Yeah, especially considering that we were like the Three Musketeers, and we were like
Yeah.
all in separate parts of the world, like, when all of those
Uh-huh.
things occurred. And so I
Yeah.
thought that one of the most beautiful things about the bond with sisters is how, even if you're thousands of miles apart, you can still feel the love and
literally.
still feel the
Yeah.
support. And I always say, like, them ladies do not forget that cancer-free day. Like, that's a
And
thing you
now,
I
don't
know.
forget.
I even
And
had my co-workers, like all the teachers, we were in a meeting, and they were like, "Who has a celebration?" Me, I do. I stood up in front of everyone. One of my coworkers said I stood like nice, tall, and proud. She's like, "My sister's 4 years breast cancer free," and everybody just starts cheering.
I love
my
that.
sister
It's
got the
like y'all
boobs,
gonna
but
cheer
you
for my
can't tell me
sister.
Mm,
nothing.
Look, one thing about Alexis, she ain't afraid to do that.
Yeah, and
Mm-mm.
I love that. I think that it's so important for us to be, not in a sense prideful, but to honor the fact that, you know, people survive cancer, because on
It's a
the
big
opposing
deal.
side, there are some people who don't get to make it to rejoice that they survived. So I think it's definitely a big deal every year. Even before I experienced breast cancer for myself, I always wore like a little pink ribbon the whole month of October. Little did I know, you know, that was there
Right.
for a good reason. But Mo, if you want to go ahead and
Yeah.
ask one of your questions.
Yeah. So, a question that I had for you was, how has thinking of, because we also had a grandmother who, unfortunately lost her battle with breast cancer, and then you had a sister as well as a close friend that also struggled with breast cancer. So, how do you think that kind of shaped your perspective on like health and wellness?
Well, I know you're supposed to go to the doctor to get the monthly checkups, but
Hmm.
one thing I do like to do is call my sister and say, "Hey, is this
Something feels
normal?
off.
How did you feel during this stage? Like, can you give me a little bit more information? Because
Yeah.
Google will have you thinking you have everything."
No,
Hmm.
but Google told me I had breast cancer, and I was like, no, I don't.
No,
And that's so ironic because they're like, you got breast cancer. I was like,
oh my
no, I do
goodness.
not.
That's
No, I don't.
crazy.
But
That's
in all
crazy.
seriousness, I definitely know it's like
Hmm.
super important to get those checkups. And
Yeah.
since we see that we do have some of those genes, that
Yeah.
we get tested as
Yeah.
soon as possible and as often as recommended, just so we can catch it quick.
Hmm.
And not
If
slack on it, because I know a lot of us tend to go day in and day, me included. Some days, I mean, I schedule appointments and then I'll be like, oh, I got something to do. I'll push it back, or I'll push it back this time, or I'll do it next week or
Hmm.
something. And I know now, like, I can't do that because it's within our
Yeah.
genes.
Yeah. And it's very important. I think early detection is a part
Hmm.
of surviving it, is early detection. And so I was really grateful that I did myself, even though all the signs were there, and Google was like, girl, go to the doctor. Like literally sending notes in the calendar. Like, girl, did you call the doctor yet?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to, like, because all of the signs were there, I didn't want to believe that that's what,
Right.
and it's so scary to for the symptoms to actually align with each other. And so
Hmm.
Lex, could you tell us a little bit about how your own faith was altered by watching those several people fight breast cancer?
Yeah, well, sorry, I have some notes too. Make sure I get
Girl,
every
me
point that I
too.
wanted
Get it in,
Always,
friend.
every week.
to. Well, I mean, I found myself questioning God a lot. I'm not gonna
Hmm.
lie, because I'm just like, come on. My friend Miko, like she had that when I was still younger, so it was just like
Mhm.
a, oh, I'm really scared for her, and I hope everything is well. And then for grandma, also the same situation. And then with you, I'm just like, Lord, what are you doing? Like,
Hmm.
how can we survive this? Why would you do this? Like all the, the denial stages, the acceptance, the anger. I feel like I went through all the stages of grief,
Yeah.
just questioning myself and questioning my faith. But then at the end of the day, you got to let go and let God. And that's easier said than done. But I feel like I've
Hmm.
been practicing that a lot more, especially when you're going through that experience.
Yeah. And I know that that has to be like a roller coaster of emotions,
Oh, yeah.
because I myself, like, I remember the scream that I let out, like after I got off the phone, like almost like, how dare you, God, like, you
Yeah.
know, because I was so engulfed with that pain, like from that news. I was just furious, like my spirit was just furious, like how could I work this hard and get to this point, and then you are like, no, like we're gonna shut it all down and we're gonna try this again in a year and a half and see how it works out. And
Hmm.
Yeah.
so the amount of faith that you have to have to survive is
Right.
Yeah.
insane. A lot of my survival was based on my faith, because I know there was many days that I didn't have it, but God did.
Yeah.
I had nothing to comfort myself with, and the things that I was turning to for comfort, they were only making me more sad. you know.
Yeah.
So I was finding it really hard to I was finding it hard myself in the beginning. That scream was like, how could you betray me? It wasn't a like it was pain, but it was
Uh-huh.
mostly, how could you betray me? Like, I hope I'm screaming loud enough for you to hear this in
Yeah.
heaven, because you need
Yeah.
to know I'm mad about what that doctor just
Uh-huh.
told me. And so
Yeah.
I could very well understand how that could kind of, you know, just alter your faith. And it's really hard to trust God. I know Dad was talking about this last week, that it's hard to be faithful when you trusted God for one thing and a whole
Mhm.
nother thing is happening in front of your face. It's hard to be faithful in those seasons, but I
Mhm.
believe that is the most rewarding, is when you are faithful and God brings you out on the other side.
Yeah.
Then you have a testimony and you can tell your testimony with joy.
Yep.
Um, so
Yeah.
I am learning myself that in those times of affliction, to just stand planted in my faith, because
Yeah.
even though it doesn't look good in front of me, God has never not worked things out for my good,
Mhm.
even when it came to cancer. Now that was a tricky one. That was
I'm
tough
like, okay, you going
to.
a little too deep now. What are you doing? You trying to get me cancer?
I'm like, now, Lord,
I don't know about
you know,
this.
I tell people about you and whatnot, but what is this business? Like, what is this
Look,
about?
give me a flat tire or something. Make my car break
Right.
down.
So you tell me I can't go knocking door to door witnessing instead of this?
I didn't ask to be that soldier. I said I'm a soldier in the army, but
Right. I said I
can
was
you give me a
strong,
different
but
task?
It's like, Lord, I'll go door to door. If you want me to tell my testimony, I'll go door to door, Lord. But it's such a blessing that we can sit here and, you know, laugh about, you know, the whole story, that we
yeah.
even find a little bit of joy inside of the survival story. I think that's a very beautiful
hmm
thing, that we can
Yeah.
look back and say, it was rough, but we yet and still we got through it. And that's the beauty of having people like Alexis,
hmm
that do bring light. One thing I can tell you, that she is like, I seen this little meme that was like, when I'm sad and my sister touches me, and then the girl lit up. And I was like, that is so my little sister. Like, she
yes.
never know. Maybe she can't even fix the problem, but she's not
Yeah.
gonna let you be sad,
I put
like,
that
hmm
while
on
you're
here.
dealing with it.
I was like, even if I could just make her laugh, like sometimes it's not on purpose, but sometimes, of course,
Yeah,
it is. Try to like,
hmm
enjoy the little things in life and
yeah,
just don't always think about the negatives and the what ifs, but
hmm
have
yeah.
that faith and that gratitude for just the small things like
Hmm.
laughter and love and
hmm
all of those things go hand in hand with recovering and thriving afterwards.
Yeah, they are very important.
hmm
I'm sorry. Mo, did you have another question for Alexis?
Yeah. So let me see. Let me look at
You
my
can
notes
drink on
too.
this show.
Yeah, yeah, you're allowed to
You ain't gotta
drink.
hurry up. You can drink.
Okay, I was like, I'm thirsty.
Water.
Let me
You
But
can
ask
we
the
drink
ain't
questions.
water.
Look,
we're not sponsored nobody, so you can't show the label.
Yeah, hold
Okay,
that brand below the window.
it's her bottle.
I'm not. Okay, so my
We
next
gotta
question
get you
for
a woman
you.
warriors cup.
My next question for you. How has your family's experience with breast cancer influenced your relationship with them as well as others? Like, do you feel like you're more like attentive, like more supportive, or and vice versa?
Oh yes, like this whole month, October,
hmm
like it resonates with me differently because I do have friends and family that have experienced this traumatic thing, and sometimes, like Dominique said, you don't always win the battle, and then
hmm
the people, your support system is left to kind of pick up the pieces. But we were blessed with an opportunity to see Neek another day and see her thrive
Yeah.
and go on with her life even stronger and more resilient. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
think it definitely opened my eyes to the severity of breast cancer, cancer in general. But this whole month
hmm
of October, I try to wear more pink and do more research about it so I can,
hmm
teach my friends. Because some people don't have like family experience in this. So maybe they don't even know what steps to take, what they should look out for, and all of that stuff. So I think it's important for me to do research and talk about it with my friends, with my sister, even the hard
Hmm.
parts that might feel a little uncomfortable. It's important for us to know. So I'm going to ask the hard
Exactly.
questions and I'm going to mix in a little fun in between.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think the most unique thing that I adopted was maybe taking the stereotype or the ickiness off of breast, because something
Mm.
weird happens to you when they like take your breast. Something weird happens to where you don't care to show people because they're just not
Hmm.
breast anymore. You know, they're just kind
Yeah.
of almost flat. Like it's like you're flat chested. And so I do remember a lot of times where people are like, "How does that feel?" I'm like, "You want to see? Like it doesn't feel good, but I'll show you." Like, and it made me become comfortable with
Yeah.
not having natural breasts anymore, just showing people, like, you know, of course, like women that are very
Hmm.
close to me, but they would be like scared to ask. And I'm like, you can see, I'll show you
Hmm.
like what they look like, you know? And so that was one thing that helped me become comfortable with the mental that comes after you get your breast removed. It was one thing that helped me become comfortable with the mental process is just showing people like, hey, look what they
Hmm.
did. Like, because I was kind of myself impressed with the process of how they take the tit and then they make it new again. I
Yeah.
was there. I was thoroughly impressed with Dr. Karikas's work. I still can't fathom how she does what she does. How she
Yeah.
takes breast and then recreates new ones like out of skin, like just nothing but skin. And so
That's insane.
I know that was it was important for me to talk about the implant process, especially with my sisters and like showing them and stuff because I wanted them to know like what it looked like the
Hmm.
process. I know for myself it was hard to even consider breast implants. That was a hard thing to do, but no regrets.
Hmm.
I at first I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to get plastic surgery, like that sounds
Hmm.
like a lot. Just let me be flat. And then they made me flat, and I was like, no, no, I don't want to be. I
No,
don't want to be
give
a
me implants
boy.
now.
I said, I don't want to be a boy. Like, I need breasts. Okay, I changed my mind. And she always did tell me, like, if you change your mind and you don't like the
Hmm.
way it looks, you can come back and we'll immediately, the next day after
Yeah.
she took them, I was like, listen, when's the breast surgery? I need to know
Right. Run it.
because
Run
you won't
it.
have me out here a 32-year-old boy. Is what it's we're not gonna do. And so
I could like it.
I'm humorous about it because that's really how I felt. Like
Yeah.
I'm laughing about it now, but there was a moment where I cried about that. Like that's really what I felt like. I think breasts are a huge part of a woman's identity,
Yeah.
whether we like to admit it or not. It is a huge part. And so, with I think as far as wellness goes, that's one of the things that I'm glad that I was a little more open minded to, and I'd encourage
Hmm.
anybody that is you know, anywhere remotely close to young to consider. I know it's a scary thing to talk about, but
Hmm.
I would not encourage you unless it's a decision you've already made to go without breasts. The process to getting new breasts is very scary and it's a long, drawn out, painful process. It's very
Hmm.
painful, but I would encourage anybody who is facing that decision to go ahead and move forward with implants because it will give you a piece of yourself back. I
Yeah.
can't really explain that um, except for myself, like so I could understand, but it
Yeah.
really did give me a piece of myself back as far as wellness goes, like mental wellness as well.
Yeah. And it's probably like a confidence thing too, right? Like
Yeah, for
it kind
sure.
of boosted your confidence more to have it. Cause just like you said, like breasts are a part of womanhood. So I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine. I would have been like, Doc, yeah, go ahead and give me those too. I'll take them home and do what I got to do.
Yeah,
I
I
just
know.
need
Put them in a bag in case I change my mind.
put them in a bag on ice. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Can you put them in my hospital bag? No, y'all listen.
But
This is something I never told anybody. I was furious the day at the doctor when they were like telling me like, okay, now that you've had your breast taken off, they gave me these little pads. I promise they look like jumbo eggs. Couldn't be no bigger than about this long. Looked like jumbo eggs, and they told me to put them in as like inserts. Y'all, I went home and cried. I said, Lord, you've got to see me through this. I cannot have eggs for breast. Like
that was it.
Yeah, like they gave you a bra and it had like this little insert that was about this big, but it was kind of round and point. Did not
was it
look
hard?
like a breast at all. Like it was somebody's pass on a breast, but it did not look like a breast at all. I was mortified. I said, give me the fake boob. Whatever I got to do. I don't care what I got to do to get the fake boob, but I cannot walk around with eggs. Like, no, I can't do that. But it was a huge part of mental wellness for me to go ahead and move forward with that reconstruction surgery. Lex, I don't know what Miko's situation was really like. I don't want to share too much about, someone else's story. But with the reconstruction process, what were some of your feelings about, the surgeries and the operations and stuff?
Scared.
Yeah.
Scared.
Because I remember when you were going into surgery, I was having a meeting with all the other teachers, and I stepped out of the room, called mom, started crying, tried to go back into the meeting. 2 minutes later, I was like, no, this meeting's not that important. Went back outside, tried to call Mo, I think it was. Then tried to go back to the meeting. Then I was like, no, this stuff has to wait. Everything has to wait. I'm going to stay here, sit outside and pray and wait by my phone to hear some good news, because it was a little sketchy for a second there. And I was just like, oh no, like,
it got very sketchy.
The worst, but if the doctors are telling me, hey, this is what's going on, of course I'm going to be really scared and upset and just wanting to do whatever I can to help you. But I'm not a doctor at the end of the day. So I had to put my faith in the doctor's hands to operate on you, and they did a good job.
Oh, Lord, help me. I was about to show them, Lord.
Listen, I was ready to get on a flight and go do CPR myself. Jokers.
They did
something.
They did do a great job. The doctors that I had, they were amazing doctors. Even the nurse that I had night that I had to get 2 surgeries like in less than 12 hours. Even the nurse that I had was really good, but she failed to listen to me. I think we probably could have saved the Flatline series by someone being more attentive. And so if I could say anything towards that is like, if you're in the hospital and you are having a double mastectomy and you feel weird, like you feel like something other than like those little side effects that they give you for after you come out of any normal surgery, is to ask for help. Don't sit around and wait till the last minute. Like, well, I don't believe that I waited till the last minute, but I only had so much strength. And I thought that I was literally just feeling the weight of having my breast removed, but really the tissue expander was like closing off my airway. And so if you do find yourself, which God forbid, but if you are someone that finds themselves in the hospital after a double mastectomy, make sure that you're paying attention to what your body tells you. Because my body gave me a lot of signs like, hey, I can't breathe. Hey, like get somebody, and I do remember calling mom and saying, Mom, I'm about to die. And she was like, no, you're not. Like, don't say that. She's like, what's wrong? I said, no, Mom. I'm like touching my chest, but she's on the phone. Like, she can't hear me. Like, she can't see me, like trying to tell her like something's right here. But I was trying to explain to her like something's like blocking my air. Like my throat is closing. And I cannot explain to you what that feeling is like being at death's doorstep and y'all are like nose to nose and you're like begging someone for help. And so if I could say anything in those kinds, even if you're not surviving breast cancer, listen to your body. When your body is saying like, hey, red flag, or you're even having shortness of breath, or you're having I know one of the symptoms that it was saying when I was looking on Google, and of course it was confirmed, is that the breast has like the texture of an orange. When the breast is infected with cancer, it has like almost the texture of an orange, and it'll be tight and warm to
Mm.
the touch. So you can feel that there's like inflammation and stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it's not to be confused with like a cyst or something like that. Go to the
Mm-hmm.
doctor. Like I'm
Right.
no breast cancer doctor, so let your doctor check. But these are some of the early signs that I could tell you that I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Leakage from the nipple, like not breast milk, but blood. There's like literal
Mm-hmm.
blood coming from the nipple. And so if I could say anything about the symptoms of breast cancer, it would be those couple
Mm-hmm.
things.
Neat. I don't think I ever asked you this, but like, what did they do in that situation? Like, did they have to remove the tissue that they implanted that was cutting off your circulation?
So it was a tissue
Oh.
expander. So because I was naturally, I had like a very dense chest naturally, which
Mm-hmm.
is code for you have small breasts.
Yeah.
That's just what that means. And so because my chest was dense, they had to give me tissue expanders. So what happens
Mm-hmm.
is they cut out all of the natural breast tissue, and you're pretty much left with a flat slate. And then after they make sure all the cancer is out, they put in what is called tissue expanders, and it's like half of a breast implant. So it's like just a half, like an orange slice, if you were to cut it in half. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's shaped like that, except for it's really hard. It's like hard to the touch. And so they put those inside of your chest, and then they pump saline into the tissue expander, and it expands your tissue, like the tissue in your breast. But I
Mm-hmm.
cannot explain to you how painful that is. Like like they put them in, and the idea was, okay, we're going to try to get you from a size A to a C. And so they couldn't fit anything but an A cup, A implant inside. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not going through all this hell to come out with the same size tits. Like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I want
You
bigger
can give me
ones.
an
Like,
upgrade or something.
if I gotta destroy these, I want bigger ones, a little bit bigger anyway. And so the idea was that if you get bigger ones, then we have to stretch your skin so the breast
Mm-hmm.
implant can fit inside of that cavity. And so that's the step before breast implants. So they put a tissue expander inside your chest, and then every week you go and they put like however many cc's of saline that your
Mm-hmm.
doctor orders. They literally take a needle. No lie, it's about this long. It's probably about this thick around, and they put it right inside. Like they make a little incision and they poke the saline. Literally the most painful. And then when you get done, like after they pump your chest with saline, your chest
Mm-hmm.
is probably a size or two bigger than what they want it to be. But over time, it will, like by the next week, it will have the swelling in your chest will have went down, and
Mm.
all you'll be left with is saline, like inside that implant. But it keeps the structure of the chest like rounded so they can
Mm-hmm.
be able to put the implant in, but it also stretches the skin to be able to fit the implant inside. So that's a
Mm.
whole 3 to 6 months before you get the implants. So you have to do that you have to get at least 3 months of,
Mm-mm.
I had to get 3 months of saline injections, 100 cc's per visit.
Mm-mm. Again, Lord, I'll take a flat tire, but don't give me that.
So
Don't-
at that point, I was like, I don't know if I made the right decision. Like but you
Yeah.
remember I was crying about having a flat chest. But then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know if I made the right decision because it was the process. It wasn't even the breast implants that got me. It
Mm-hmm.
was the process to get the implants. And a lot
Yeah.
of people don't know that. Like they think you just go from no breast to breast implants. But there's
Mm-hmm.
a 3 to 6 month process in the middle where
Oh,
if you
oh.
don't have enough breasts, like they got to stretch your skin to
Mm-hmm.
give you more breasts. And so larger breasted women are more fortunate. I have seen some cases where they are able to just carve out the section that has cancer in it, and they're able
Mm-hmm.
to, reconstruct their breasts to look perfectly normal, like just like regular breasts. But I myself was not that. Once they cut the cancer out, I ain't have nothing but a nickel worth of breast left. I said, you might as well take this. You might as well take that little fatty sack you done left over in the corner. You might as well take that. That ain't big enough for a training bra. Help me, Lord. Yeah, but it was it was crazy. I could just go ahead and take that little
A
piece.
mess.
But
A
it was
mess.
kind of lumpy and it looked weird, and so that's what led me to get the implants or whatever. But Alexis, let's we can go
Yeah,
on
let's get back
forever with
to
our
it.
story.
No, I'm
But
enjoying this.
Alexis, what advice would you give someone who is supporting someone who has breast cancer or is surviving breast cancer, or maybe even someone who's who is supporting someone that was not lucky enough to survive?
Well, I would say the small acts of kindness really go a long way. Just being an
Mhm.
ear to listen to, or just little acts of encouragement, a little note, a text message, a voicemail. I like those
Voicemails for
basic
sure.
voicemails. And then stuff that I wish I could have done was like maybe cook you a meal, take the kids, like be present. I think that's one of the most important things is being present.
Mm-hmm.
But since I was so far away, I did as much as I could to support you. And I know there's always like a range of emotions that we go through in addition to the person who actually has
Yeah.
the breast cancer goes through. So I think it's important to put our feelings aside a bit and try to be
Yeah.
more empathetic towards the big issue, and then I don't know, use have another support system for yourself so that you
No,
can
really,
also
For
yeah.
have
real.
an ear to talk to. It's like a they say it takes a village to raise a child, but I think in the same regard, it takes a village or community to handle something like this.
Hmm.
No, for sure. I definitely agree with that. One thing that I can say is that a lot of times I thrived off of
Uh oh.
I know what's happening here. I have no clue what's
You
happening.
thrived off of what?
You
Um,
thrive, yeah, I was like, I heard you
but
say you
I know
thrive.
that me myself, I thrived off of just having family around, just making
Mm,
sure that I was accepting the love and I was accepting the support, because
Mm,
sometimes it would be
that's good.
hard. I remember this one time, and I always bring it up to mom, and I think is the worst I ever felt during my journey with cancer. I remember I was having this really rough mental day, and had been telling mom and dad about this mum that I seen at Walmart, and I wanted it. Um, and so they were, how thoughtful they are, like especially if you're going through something. They were
Hmm.
so graciously thoughtful, and they had went and bought me this plant from Walmart. And so I think it was Walmart. And so they came and knocked on the door, and I was just a mess. Like in my mind, like I was just barely holding on, to the point where I was like, I don't want to be bothered. Like, just go away and come back a different
Hmm.
day. And they were like, Dominique, open the door. I said, Mom, can you just leave me alone right now? Like, go and come back another day. And they were like, okay. And then I opened the door. She was like, well, just look outside, please. Like, I know you're having a hard day, but just look outside. And I looked outside, and there was the mom that I asked them
Mm,
for. And I still cry about that. I don't know why, but I do, because
yeah.
how thoughtful they were,
Hmm.
and I remember how racked my brain was, and how I so needed that moment, with them. I
Hmm.
needed like a hug and a mom. Like that was it, just a hug
Yeah.
and a plant.
A hug
And
from your mom and
I
your
wasn't
mom.
receptive of that, and how graceful and understanding they were, that I
Hmm.
was experiencing a hard time. Like, they didn't get upset at me when I said, just please go away, because I got tired of being supported, and like everybody
Hmm.
supporting me, and everybody doing everything for me. And I was just at a really lowly point, that I was just tired of people helping me. I wanted to live by myself, like do
Hmm.
things for my own self. And so that still brings me to tears to this day, because I'm like, oh man, I'm so mean to them. Like, and it wasn't because I was trying to be on purpose. I was just hurting. But I never forgot that. And when I got better, I never forgot to honor them for that day that, I was in a really bad place mentally, and they still made sure I was okay. I don't know, that makes me cry like a baby every time, because they're such great parents, and they're so thoughtful, and understanding. And even after that, they were like, no, it's okay. Like, we know that you're just having a hard time. Like,
Oh, I don't. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
I don't know what happened, but I just wanted to ask you one more question before we
Okay.
wrap up here. How do you think our family's experience with breast cancer has changed, like your approach to life? I would say, like your day to day approach. Do you think you're more intentional with things ever since then, or even right after it happened? Because I know for me, I wanted to make sure I showed support to everyone around me, and I wanted to make sure I checked in more often and things
Mhm.
like that. So, do you think that you're more intentional? Oh, hey,
Welcome back.
oh, I can't hear.
hello.
We can hear you.
I can't hear nothing y'all are
I can hear you.
saying. I'm stretching my ears, but I can't hear nothing, Lord.
Maybe come in. Oh,
To
she can't hear
answer your
me.
I
question,
don't want
did
to
I answer
leave and
your
come
question?
back, but I might have to. I can't hear anything. I think my Wi-Fi kicked off and then kicked back on.
Okay, yeah,
Can
I'm
y'all
letting
hear
you
Yeah.
walk
me?
out.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. I wish we could use signs or something. No, don't do that right now. Mm-mm. Sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm gonna try to go out and come back. I'm not
Okay.
sure what's wrong.
Okay. Do you want
Yeah.
me to ask the question again, or?
I do. Well, what'd you say?
So the question I was asking you was, how has our family's experience with breast cancer, or cancer in general, you could say, because we have had several people in our family, and you've had a couple friends who have experienced breast cancer, but how has it changed your approach to life? Like, are you more intentional, you would say, in things that you do? Do you go out of your way to actually do things you enjoy now because you're not sure, of your longevity, so to speak, I would say.
I think just trying to talk to the family more, even if it's over text or the group chats or phone call. Like, I think I'm trying to be more intentional with that, even though the days always seem so long and so short at the same time. But
And do.
at the end of the day, the days go end. So I might as well make some more memories. I might as well make more memories and like just check on everyone and you know, and just reminding myself to be happy. It's what we should strive for in life, and even
Yeah.
through all the adversity and things that we've overcome as a family, I think it's still important to just be happy and just continue with those small acts of kindness because it could make someone's day.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
don't be mean to your parents when they knock on your door, because they might have
Yeah,
a
because
sweet mom
what?
to give you.
Well, oh,
Don't be mean to
I
your
wanted to say
parents.
something about that too. That question you asked for people who were like maybe someone else's support system. If you need space, if they need space, give them space. It's
Yeah.
Hmm.
okay that they don't want to be around people 24/7. Don't harbor any hard feelings about that. Give them space.
Right.
You can still send a text message, you can still write a little note, and then check back the next day or a few hours later to see their mood. Because sometimes you really do just need to be alone.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think I was just feeling immense amounts of pressure, because that was like kind of at the very beginning, and I was tired of going to the doctor. Like, I was just
Yeah.
tired. It wasn't because they did anything to me. I was just frustrated with my own situation, and I didn't want to have to pretend like I'm okay. Like, I just want to be sad right now, like by myself sad. Like, not the kind where you want attention from people. I want to be like by myself sad. And so, but always remember, I would like to add to that, to always remember to circle the block and try your best to keep your emotions in check, and understand that your family is experiencing some of the same pains that you are. Just because it's not happening to them doesn't mean that they aren't absorbing the same amounts of pain, if not greater, because they're watching you go through it and there's nothing they can do. Like,
Exactly.
they can't take it for you. Like, they just have to hold your hand and watch you go through it. And so if you have parents that are there for you for everything, let them be. I know that sometimes during cancer, I did want those moments to myself, but they were no good for me. Like, none of those moments were good. God knew what he was doing when he gave me such a strong, present support system, because he knew that I would have mind battles that I couldn't take care of by myself. And so I do appreciate the way that mom and dad responded to that. And I appreciate that it was them and not anyone else, because maybe I could have lost a friend or lost a sister. But it's hard to lose parents. I tell you that.
Lose a sister.
Well, I'm saying some people are offended by that. And they're like, oh, well,
Look,
she don't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to her. I mean, that's just the reality of some people don't know how to deal with rejection. And it was hard for me to understand that, like, dang, I rejected my parents and they were just trying to, come over and help me. And I know that didn't feel good to them. And so I had to go back and apologize and say, hey, I'm sorry. Like, I know you're just trying to help me. I know you're just trying to, God bless their souls. They were doing no telling how much money they had to spend either. Just doing any single thing they could, like Lex was saying, the small acts of kindness. I know Dad, he gave me enough crossword puzzles that I still shouldn't be bored right to this day. I mean, he gave me coloring books, crossword puzzles, little scriptures to read on and stuff. And so those small acts of kindness, they do mean a lot to a person. But I do agree with Lex also, to allow people space to process too. And in the same breath, don't be mean to your family while they're trying to be there to support you. And I think that goes a little bit of both ways. And so, Alexis, overall, could you please tell us how this has brought you closer to God, watching people go through these experiences and survive these experiences? Has that brought you closer to God, or has it influenced you to be closer to God?
Oh, for sure. It's like we've been saying the whole time, faith over fear.
Yeah.
And I could tell that when I was really fearful and questioning and thinking of all the what ifs, I knew I had to stop and think about what all he's done for me this far and all he's done for our family. So why can't I continue to trust him? Why should I stray away now? Even in the face of adversity, he's the one we should be leaning on the most, not the other way around. So I think it definitely strengthened my faith and made me want to pray more, pray longer, be more grateful and mindful of just all he's done for us, and how we can do all three things through Christ who strengthens us.
Amen.
I know we recited that scripture so many times over the years, but the older we get, the more it makes sense, and the more that I feel I can relate to it and apply it to my everyday life.
Yeah. That's good. I love how she says that with like a ear-to-ear grin.
Big
I
smile.
can do all things through Christ. And I know it's so pure. Like, it's her real smile. I love how she's saying all of that with like this Colgate smile on her face.
Yeah.
But that is like the true essence of our little sister. She's always happy and joyful. And I know it's not always easy to be that way. I know that joy comes with its own set of tests and trials.
Yeah.
Continuously fighting for your peace. Just making sure that you stay in that position. And so that's one of the best things that I honor about you is your willingness to stay joyful no matter what happens, and how you were throwing in like little jokes there, just to make me laugh or whatever during that time. So I can't say enough, Lex. Thank you for all of your support and how you never let October go by without reminding everybody what God did for me.
Everybody.
Blessings to hear that my sister beat breast cancer.
Period. And then go talk about it next year. Oh, prepare to be sick of us.
Even my students know. Even my students that we were cheering. It's really important, and I'm just like I'm at peace with it now. It was a rocky road, and sometimes I was crying, sad, and just like ready to just throw everything away and just be by your side the whole time. But I'm glad that God had a plan. Yeah. He executed that plan perfectly in his time, and you live to see another day.
Right. Live another day to fight
another day.
And it's truly a blessing. I say all the time, thank God that cancer happened to me, because I believe it was the exact thing I needed to evolve into the fearless person that I am now. It is the exact amount of resilience that I needed just to walk in who God has called me to be. So I thank God for that affliction because it taught me so much about who God has called me to be. It taught me so much about ministering, healing to others, letting others know that with God, all things are possible. That's one of my favorites too, because with God, all things are possible. Even cancer, baby. All things are possible. And I just love that for us. I love that with God, all things are possible. So you guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this Pink Sunday episode. But remember, Lex, we're going to let you go. Just 1 second. We're going to go over the verse and then we'll let you go. But remember, our verse from this series is Joshua 1:9. And it reads again, have I not commanded you, be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid. Do not be dismayed. For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So if you can't take nothing else with you this week, take that with you, sister. Thank you so much for blessing us with your presence. It's just an honor to be your big sister. Thank you. I love you so much. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
Bye.
That was so good. I just love having her. I just love her life. I love that for us.
She's
for
like,
Women Warriors.
Bye.
I love her little puffs. Those are so
cute. No. I told her it was cute. She said it looks short.
Guys,
oh my. Nothing. Go ahead.
Well, guys, this has been another episode of Women Warriors Pink Sundays. Do not forget our scripture for today, Joshua 1:9.
1:9.
Go into this week being strong and being courageous and not having fear or being dismayed, for the Lord our God is with us. We will see you back next week for another episode of Pink Sundays featuring Raquel Randolph. And so we'll see you guys back next week. Be